Hey everybody on YouTube. I wanted to share with you my experience with this Baileigh Industrial Portable Bandsaw. This is the model number BS-127P 1.0, made in Taiwan. Came packaged reasonably well from Baileigh. It came direct from Baileigh. I actually bought it on Summit Racing, but it came packaged in a cardboard box, not so heavy duty, but it was packaged reasonably well inside, protected with molded styrofoam inserts. The saw itself looks pretty good. The fit and finish is actually pretty nice. It's got variable speed control, relatively heavy duty on-off buttons, protected with a little cover over the switches to help keep grit and so on out of the switches. It's got a nice grease fitting on the motor, spring adjustment to control the cutting force, an auto shut-off switch, adjustable blade guides, reasonable vise here. Looks reasonable quality cast vise with a nice machine finish. All that stuff looks reasonably good. It's got a adjustable angle here that you can change the angle of your cut. The blade guide seems to be reasonably good quality. Seems to track pretty true, not a lot of slop in it. And it's got an adjustable lever here to set where the angle of the lever lands when you lock down the mechanism. I don't know about this sheet metal guard here. It's pretty flimsy. It was kind of bent from the factory. That part's pretty cheesy. Now here's where it kind of gets ugly. So you have a nice lever here that you can adjust the angle of the miter cut. But look at the pivot. The pivot actually has about 1/8 of an inch of slop in it, which is really pretty shoddy. It looks like the hole in the base is just way oversized. The base is sheet metal. What was interesting is actually on Summit Racing, where I bought it, it actually had a picture of this same saw with a cast iron base, which is actually why I bought it from Summit Racing, because you can buy this same saw from Grizzly for about $200 less with this sheet metal base. So I thought I was going to be getting something with a cast iron base. Turns out I'm not. It's going to go back to Summit Racing. Summit Racing is really good. They've already sent me a return label. But what really bothers me is this slop in the pivot. And the worst thing about it is even when I come here and I lock down as hard as I can with a plastic lever without being afraid to break the plastic lever, even when I do that, the slop in the pivot isn't constrained. So there's about 2 degrees of slop even when the saw is locked down. So there's no way you're going to get a repeatable cut from one cut to the next because of the slop in that pivot. I'm going to set up an angle gauge here. We can actually measure how much slop is there, because it's kind of surprising. So, forgive my put this down here. So I lock the blade down, lock the angle adjustment down, and I'm going to set. All right, got the blade locked down, and you can see I got my angle gauge here set up in the vise and set up to measure the angle. And I don't know if you guys can read this. How are we going to focus? All right. So we're about 92.5 degrees is read on the angle gauge there. There you go. You can see just how much slop there is. That was about parallel with my angle gauge there. And back here, let's take a measurement. So we're lined up with the blade there pretty nicely. And that is just about 90 degrees. So from 90 to 92.5 degrees, we got about 2.5 degrees of slop in that blade adjustment. And remember, that's with the blade adjustment locked in place. So anyway, they got a problem here they got to fix. The rest of the saw doesn't look so bad, but it's going back. I can make a set of bushings, I can fix this, but if I can buy the same saw from Grizzly, and from all the photographs I've seen of the Grizzly, it looks exactly the same. Even if the Grizzly has the same problem, it's $200 less. If I'm going to take my time to fix this this Taiwanese saw and actually get it to be usable for the type of precision it should be able to cut, I might as well start with a saw that's $200 less from Grizzly. Anyway, hopefully the big guys at Baileigh are watching this. Hopefully they're going to do something about it. I hope they fix this because it is a nice looking saw. It does look like the rest of it is of reasonable quality, as you know, a reasonable quality for a relatively low buck Taiwan saw. And when I say low buck, this was $600, but compared to what you would expect for a professional grade bandsaw, you may be paying $1,000 or maybe even $2,000 for. So in the world of professional metalworking equipment, this is still low buck. But holes don't cost very much to make. You can make holes the right size. You could maybe put a little bigger pivot bolt on that pivot mechanism. There's a lot of things that wouldn't cost any more money to actually do right here. But it appears they've got either a quality control gap, or Baileigh just doesn't have very high standards for the equipment that they put out. Anyway, hope this all helps somebody else who's looking to buy a Baileigh Industrial BS-127P or any other portable bandsaw. Hope this helps you guys. Have a good weekend. See ya.